Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are getting closer to release, sort of, with a new trailer detailing some more of the stuff coming up in it while showing off how it looks and performs, and I perused Pokemon's promoted tweet showcasing that trailer, and looked at a ton of the replies under it to see what the general discourse has become. With Sword and Shield, it was all about graphics and performance. Lots of pop-in textures, low-resolution environments, a distinct lack of water physics, etc. Some people just thought it was lazy of Nintendo to have the highest-grossing media franchise of all time at over $92 billion, looking and performing like it was made by some third-party studio with not enough budget. Although the games were still fun. And as someone who was previously on the side of stop complaining, the games are fine, I still found it pretty difficult to reconcile the notion that Pokemon, which accounts for 6 entries out of the top 50 best-selling games of all time, can't take a little extra effort to make their games run like they're worth a damn. There's a lot of things you can argue about when it comes to Pokemon, and people sure do. But in my opinion, the biggest no-brainer thing of why play devil's advocate when you are actively campaigning against yourself as a consumer is about performance. For a second, let's say keep the graphics, keep the Pokedex, keep whatever else anybody could be mad about for whatever reason, keep everything else the same, just improve the performance. Get rid of slowdown, get rid of frame rate drops, get rid of pop-in textures. What are you arguing against now? You would rather the game run like shit for actually no reason? The game is fine! Don't touch it! If you don't want the performance improved, you're not paying attention. Also, you don't deserve nice things because you wouldn't know how to recognize them. It's not the Switch's fault either, at least not entirely, because there are games that run incredibly smooth on Switch, like Smash, unless you're in an online arena with a crowd of wireless laggers, and Super Mario Odyssey, which came out over 5 years ago and still blows most other first-party Nintendo games out of the water in terms of performance, and graphics for that matter. If you really want to see what the Switch is capable of though, boot up Smash Ultimate, play an offline versus match on one of the stages that move with transitional backgrounds. Some of those I'm just like, are you sure this is a Switch game? And people make fun of me when I say this. They're like, Smash? An example of technological excellence? Art thou speaking in jest? But go play the Umbra Clock Tower stage in 8-player Smash with 16 ice climbers running around and tell me you're not shocked the Switch didn't explode. That game is just simply well put together, minus not having rollback netcode, but we're not getting off topic. The point is, the Switch is capable of more than what Pokemon is giving it. So that's performance, which should be unanimous. You would not complain if a new Pokemon game came out and it ran like a dream. You wouldn't be like, no, where's the grass that doesn't react to being stepped on? Where's the water that doesn't act like anyone's swimming in it? How come the draw distance actually let me see a rock from more than 6 feet away? This is horseshit. There are always the people who are like, Pokemon doesn't need to be better, it sells plenty as is. Okay, and Nintendo games don't need to go on sale ever, which they never do, because they sell plenty as is. But wouldn't it be nice if they did it anyway? Isn't it generally better for the consumer, which need I remind you is you, when games turn out better than the bare minimum requirement for financial success, and when games go on sale so that more consumers, you again, can afford to buy them? Do people just have low self-esteem or what? You deserve a better game if you can get one. I don't care how shit you think you are. I promise you, you deserve better than the bare minimum. Which I'm not even saying Pokemon is, because as a counterweight to a lot of the areas they falter in, they still deliver some good ideas and mechanics in a package that still ends up being overall a good time. It's just that it could be way better, and we deserve the best they have to offer. Let's get back to some specifics. So outside of performance, another topic of contention is graphics. Pokemon Sword and Shield and now Scarlet and Violet have general graphics that I would call not good. I think the Pokemon models and move animations are fine. They're not blowing the doors off even for a Nintendo game. And the Pokemon, when they're actually out in the world, don't really pop artistically. But the environments are definitely just oh, here's some land and some trees and some buildings and some water, and none of them look like anything. Now, before you're immediately like, Pokemon doesn't need top-tier realistic graphics, I'm not out here trying to say it should look like Horizon and Forbidden West. Although if it looked like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, it would be absolutely incredible because those are the best animated/cartoonish graphics I've ever seen in any game besides maybe Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I think Rift Apart's art style would lend itself super well to Pokemon. But, again, the issue isn't that it doesn't have Last of Us 2 graphics. It's that there's really no art style to even speak of. Outside of the Pokemon designs being iconic, everything surrounding that has zero identity. The only reason you'd know if a building was from Pokemon is if they put a little Pokeball symbol on it. I have never looked at something visual in Pokemon and been like, wow, that's so pretty. Other than Lopunny, of course. Take games like Ori, Chris Tales, Hollow Knight, Cuphead, or any game you can think of that has highly stylized art direction. These games don't have conventionally good, ultra-realistic, see every individual speck of dust graphics like whatever the next Call of Duty or Forza is touting, but because their art design is so unique and visually appealing, they still stand tall as beautiful games. How many of you played the Chef Saltbaker boss fight in the new Cuphead DLC and were distracted by how goddamn smooth and impressive it looked? Even retro-inspired games like Hyper Light Drifter can have gorgeous 16-bit graphics that are a treat to look at. Those games all have clear, instantly recognizable visual identities. Pokemon just has the Pokemon themselves, and then paints them into a bland world devoid of any other semblance of uniqueness or charm, and it drags them down. I'd rather it even just look like the show. The modern Pokemon animes look great. I don't know what gets lost in translation. Actually, you know what's a great example of this that just came out recently, and some of you might laugh because of the inherent rivalry, is Digimon. Digimon Survive, which came out like a week ago, is a graphically stunning game, and I mean that. It looks like the modern anime. It's done in a visual novel style, so it was probably easier to draw everything for that. But even in the turn-based battles, the Digimon look slick as they move and do their attacks, and the world they're in is also striking because they've got a neat little horror aspect associated with it. The dense, foggy forests actually evoke moods and feelings instead of you just looking at it like, oh, it's trees. If Digimon can do it, Pokemon has no excuse. They just need a total graphical overhaul, in my opinion. Keep the Pokemon looking like Pokemon, but do some experimentation, which they've already done before in some of their smaller games. Like Pokemon Cafe, for instance, has a totally different art style, and it's a cute one, but it's relegated to a frickin' minigame. We don't really need to talk about Pokemon Quest's Minecraft-looking ass, but at least it was a departure. And even the Detective Pikachu movie had some visual charm to it. I didn't love all the designs, but some of them really took it in stride. Like Bulbasaur was adorable in that movie, and the Torterra were impressive looking. The next topic I saw brought up a bunch of times in the threads under the Scarlet and Violet trailer was the game's maintained lack of actual in-game voice acting. This is something Pokemon has never done in a main game, and the characters just have text dialogue with nary so much as a Fire Emblem-esque grunt. And that was fine for a while. This is less important to me, but it is one of those quality of life things that just wouldn't hurt. Come on, even Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl eventually added voice acting, and that game had the budget of a street urchin's allowance. I want to hear approximately 0 individuals say that money is the problem here. These corporations have billions of dollars to play with, and if the devs aren't being allocated enough money for things like voice acting, there's either a publisher issue going on, or someone at the Pokemon Company is being stingy. They also have multiple studios that work on different games, so we need to dispel the myth that the same people release a new Pokemon game every year and they just need more time. Don't get me wrong, they do still need more time. Sword and Shield was made in about 2 years, but I think what they really need, assuming they didn't recently acquire one, is another studio. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, for instance, were made by a completely other team, and they did a halfway decent job, though I wouldn't want them helming a new generation, while Game Freak worked on Legends Arceus and presumably also Scarlet and Violet. So if they're splitting the team, maybe they could just use some bolstering of the ranks, or they could even create a 3-studio handoff like Call of Duty did with Activision, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer, so that way you still get a Pokemon game every year, but they're afforded 3 years to work on it and polish it up. Now, were that to be the case, the studios would obviously have to prove themselves to the public to be accepted, and hopefully we wouldn't get like an extra shitty Pokemon game every 3 years if one studio was ass. But if done correctly, it would solve a lot of problems. Anyway, the games should have voice acting because there's no actual reason for them not to other than they didn't feel like it. The shows have voice acting, why not the games, man? Plus, if you hated it for whatever reason, you just go in the sound settings and turn the voices off like you can do in almost every other game in existence. Boom, it's like they were never there, and you can keep watching that Dark-type gym leader from Sword and Shield sing text dialogue into his frontman microphone while his mouth flaps in complete silence. I saw people complaining about the Terra types, but I think those are hype. The crystal forms look cool. People were like, oh my god, it's just Dynamax again. Yeah, but better. Because now you can use it to become different types too, instead of just a bigger version of yourself. And hunting for rare Terra types might be a game changer. Do you want the Houndour that stays a fire type like everyone else's? Or do you want to take some effort to find the one that turns into a fighting type? Those probably aren't the types, I'm just giving an example. I think that breathes some new life into some old Pokemon, like regional variants do, but less so. You know what nobody was complaining about? Persistent 4-player online co-op. Yeah, That's how you know you did a good thing, when there's nary a mention of it in the replies. It's not like the trailer revealed it, we already knew about it, but since people like to readdress their old grievances on every piece of new material, to still not see any mention of 4-player co-op is a good sign. That's just a straight dub. I have to imagine 4-player 2v2 battles are a thing, so those are going to be a blast with the people you're adventuring with to add some human rivalry to the game after every couple of gym badges. As far as the Pokemon themselves go, I won't know what to think about them overall until the Pokedex leaks a week before launch like I did with Sword and Shield, and like I hope it does again. From what they've shown so far, I love Sprigatito and I think Fido is cute, but those are the only two that I'm thinking of putting on my team. I think the legendaries are actually baller, I think both of them are super cool, but I'm not a legendary user as far as battles go. I also have to know what the starter evolutions look like and how many new Pokemon they're adding total. Scarlet and Violet are still 4 months out, which is so lame because I would rather have played them like tomorrow. Pokemon is an iconic franchise that has endured for as long as I've been alive, and maybe they'll always be around. If so, I'd prefer they trend upwards instead of getting complacent. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino. Watch all my videos as part of a randomized Nuzlocke, and I'll see you guys next time.